Hello, welcome to Nikon Report, your weekly roundup of all the latest Nikon news and all other photographic announcements that we found interesting. It's Konstantin here on this side of the screen, and on another side is
Becky.
All right, okay. Well, it's number 76. Not so much news this week, but let's start with the regular stuff. So let's start with the shipping updates first. So first one up, the Z400mm f4.5 as well as Z30 was released last week. Apparently, a new shipment arrived very late Friday on the 15th. So generally, if you've
Z30 is free stock, so if you have been waiting to get your hands on one of those, you should be able to order it from your local retailer. Certainly, you can order one from Grays of Westminster with no problems.
All right, and then we had a small delivery of Z9s coming in as well, so that is happening. So we are slowly going through the list. There's not much updates on another side of the pond, but I believe well.
Fantastic. Now, on the 400, we have first hands-on reviews and testing. First up, we have Zoo, and posted a vlog about that on his YouTube channel.
That's true. I was more excited about the diner that they got into, and I definitely want to go there as well. Really, we had this idea about running a series of vlogs about the best sausage roll in the UK.
Yes.
Watching Seth's video kind of brought this idea back to me. So I think, Becky, once you come back, we should do that.
The Nikon 400 4.5 VRS Makes Sense by Matt Irwin. This is an opinion piece and includes a little Z8 question mark, exclamation mark opinion piece in there. So that's an interesting, definitely an interesting one to watch. If you've wondered why you might want the 400 4.5, then do go check that out.
Absolutely. And then we had some samples of the images taken with 400mm 4.5 posted by actual owners of the lens. And we have user Look Me Up on Flickr, who has not only samples of 400mm lens, but also 400 paired with 1.4 teleconverter. So if you want to see a live samples of production model, that would be the link to go to.
There you go.
All right. So on this note, the positive part of this podcast has ended. And now we're going to go to the FUD week. You know what FUD means?
No.
It means fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The first one up is the Nikon price increase in the United States is actually happening. So it's now has been confirmed that we've got the list of lenses, of Z lenses that will be increased in price. Among them, we have 24-72.8, 7200 2.8, 14-24 lenses. Me, that's the price increase that happened in UK and Europe back in April this year has been absorbed by the currency exchange rate, and dollar is being destroyed at the moment, so it's pretty much the same as euro.
On to some other not so great news. Nikon have temporarily suspended orders for the 400 2.8 TC-VRS Z lens and the 800 6.3 VRS lens.
Or so what everyone thinks, because there is no confirmation of it anywhere apart of Nikon rumors. Now, Becky, if you could just read this on Monday, 18th of July, the rumor has been published on the 12th of July last week. It was written that official press release should be out in Japan in the
That's right. So we haven't received anything on official channels, but this is what Nikon Rumors posted. They said Nikon has received an unexpectedly large number of orders for the Nikkor Z400 2.8 TC-VRS and the 800mm 6.3 lenses. To better assist our customers and retailer partners, we will temporarily suspend taking new orders of these two lenses as we work to fulfill our current back orders. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this delay may cause customers eagerly awaiting these products. Please know that we're doing all we can to deliver these products as soon as possible, and we ask for your understanding and patience in this matter. Now, because we haven't had anything official along those lines, obviously we've had our orders in with Nikon since day one for our customers. I'm sure that most other retailers will have done the same. I'm not really sure at this point what difference it will make. We're obviously
of the recording, both lenses are still available for order for UK dealers from Nikon UK. It's not an issue whatsoever. There's no official release either from Nikon Japan or Nikon USA or Nikon UK. I've spent rumors doesn't have a link to the press release. They say it should be out in a few hours, and that's it. What annoys me in this stage, and it's easy to say, is that Z8 is coming out or Z10 is coming out, etc., etc. There's no harm being done. When we post in the rumors that Nikon is suspending orders without actually any proof of that, so no official press release, then we are in position where we are hurting the sales of the products, and those products are fantastic. It's, for me, it's right, and it's not bashing of Nikon rumors as I say it, but if we don't have official press release, maybe we should wait for a few hours before we haven't seen the release of, and that's been published in July last year. It's been a year. We can celebrate that together. So I really would like us as a group to come a little bit and be a little bit more responsible what we're doing. It's hurting the sales because it basically puts a negative spin on something that shouldn't be there, really.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. If they said this press release was going to be announced in a few more hours, they could have just waited the few more hours and then seen that it didn't actually arrive in people's inboxes and therefore perhaps isn't a true rumor.
Now, if you type in Nikon temporary suspended order of Nikon Z400 on Google, you're going to get at least 20 links from different websites, all quoting Nikon rumors on that. And that's what I'm trying to say. Then suddenly it becomes the truth. If it is there, that's absolutely fine, because Nikon did publish suspension of orders on their Japanese websites. That's a normal occurrence. Remember when we talked about some accessories and some chargers being suspended? There was a long lens as well, I believe, had some as well delay on that. And they do come out of this. This one particularly didn't come out. So I personally think that, okay, let's just wait a few hours. We don't need to post it out any second now. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. That's number one. Then another a bit of news that we had this week is Nikkei, who is a well-respected, stop making SLR cameras and focus on mirrorless models. Now, let's go through this a little bit. Let's go through the article together and then just try to figure out what they've done with this report and how concrete it is with all the proof and all the inside information that they had.
To it, just because it obviously doesn't say anything new at all. In fact, it kind of feels like an article that's been posted for the sake of saying something sensational, which is not actually sensational, if you see what I mean. What they say is that Nikon plans to focus resources on mirrorless cameras, which have become mainstream products on the back of more advanced digital technologies. Obviously, Nikon cameras have been losing out to smartphones, which increasingly feature powerful cameras. Nikon aims to beat them by offering products with more unique features. Well, yeah.
So apparently only Nikon is losing to smartphone cameras. Apparently only Nikon. So Canon and Sony is doing okay. Fuji's obviously is winning the game against smartphones.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then also they say that mirrorless took over SLR sales in 2020, that the revenue of mirrorless system for Nikon is now more than half, while SLRs contribute to about 30% of the revenue. So that's true. That's absolutely true. And they say Canon also plans to do those things. But I was just trying to see if there's some inside information, some comment from Nikon exec, maybe anonymous person or something like this. I don't see anything like this. My thinking is that any Nikon user can put 2 plus 2 together and come up with the idea that eventually Nikon will stop making their DSLRs and we'll switch to mirrorless the way it was going recently. And Nikon execs were saying that they will now concentrate most of the attention on the mirrorless system. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to stop it. It seems like for the time being, at least, those cameras are going to be made on the factories and supplied to, to the camera store, where Nikon will stop their making DSLRs. When is going to happen? That's a good question, Becky. What do you think?
Well, if we look at Nikon report from not that long ago, maybe about 6 weeks ago or so, where we were looking at Nikon's business projections, they were being very open about the fact that the mirrorless market would be their primary concern and that DSLRs by, I think it was 2023 or 24, would be this small sort of wedge of the pie chart. But they've been very open about that for quite a long time. The problem with the article is that it tries to make news out of something that isn't actually news. And you would be amazed at how into my inbox saying, oh my gosh, is this true? It's like, well, yes, if you've watched any of our Nikon reports, then you'll know that it's obviously true. But at the same time, Nikon have never said that they're going to stop supporting DSLRs. And I think it will probably be at least 2025, if not later, before we see a complete end to them, if then, if you know what I mean.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting take. I personally expect this to happen much faster. But again, isn't it the issue is actually industry-wide? So you not just include Nikon. So it looks to me that Nikkei, which is respected financial publication in Japan, suddenly became a blog like Forbes, or if you know CNBC or Bloomberg Financial News, you know that you're probably not going to trust the articles there. It seems like they're there for clicks more than actual some journalistic work. It's very interesting for me. It's very interesting that it's coming from Nikkei. There's something like this. But as I say, you don't need to be a Detective Pikachu to kind of figure out that eventually that's going to happen. As I say, I personally think we look in maybe, I would say 24, 25 tops. I don't think we're going to see really a big major DSLR released anytime soon. The only camera that I think may get a replacement is something like the 850. So I don't really think that anything else is going to replace it in the future. What do you think, Becky? Are they going to release anything else apart of D850 replacement?
I'd be surprised if they do a D850 replacement, to be honest. I think that that's the one that will withstand the test of time. If they do, the question is whether or not manufacturing it will be cost effective for Nikon. I know plenty of people that would probably buy a D850 replacement, and yet so many pros have now kind of been pushed over to the Z series lineup that I'm honestly not sure if they'll bring out a new one. But I think that Nikon they don't do it without serious consideration, and they tend to drag out that process quite considerably, particularly if there's not anything to replace the item. So I think that we'll at least be able to buy brand of 2025. That's my thought.
Do you think that D850 will become a new F6 or F6 of
Yeah.
DSLRs?
I think.
And for us American viewers like myself, could you explain that?